Here we go. Okay, I'd like to welcome you all to the village board meeting, 7 o'clock, Monday, May 13th, 2024. Roll call of officers.
Pete Ansia, Roseanne Keith, Sarah Dixler, Chris Clear, Rose Sowers, Kevin Schindler, and Dan.
Open meeting law compliance check.
Karen.
So all please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public input.
I just have two things from the fire department quick, that came up after I sent the report out. One is we have two new members that just completed their state firefighter certification, so that's done with two new members, and once completed her EMR, she should be in the second one, should be completing her EMR. I think this weekend or something, so a couple new medical people and firefighters out of the parks. One other thing, I went to the town board meeting last week. We have to now inspect the migrant houses at Apple Land and Lakeside. And part of that is the Santa Maria House, which is behind Lakeside, which is in the town of Belgium. But the addresses are, or the access is off into the village of Belgium. So they need village addresses, and I don't know how does that proceed to get. The town told me that even though the house is in the town, it still gets a village address because it's access to the village.
I think we will have to do some research on that.
There's two houses behind Lakeside that
To the south.
the Santa Maria houses.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any input, Brad?
Are those, there's the driveway access off the village street and
comes
not,
off of Main Street, Highway D.
there's no other access point to those. Historically, they always,
They've always used Lakeside's address of 705, but they're technically way behind there. They don't have addresses and they should. Kind of color player.
yeah, we'll try to look into that, the process for proving that or issuing addresses.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Any other public input? Yes, sir. Could you please state your name?
I just wanted to bring up the attention of,
Could you please state your name?
I said,
Oh.
Creek Pond.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it up to the attention of the board, regarding like the smell that's coming off the canning plant. I've been living here for 12 years now, and it seems like over the past 5 years, it's progressively been getting worse and worse. I live over on Hickory Street, and it's to the point now where I can smell my house and I don't even have my heat running or air conditioner running. It's still making its way in.
Well, I can tell you that they're working on it. And this happens every spring.
It's not just spring, it's like pretty much throughout the whole year. At least where I'm at, I can smell it all year round. And that's kind of where the concern is.
I can give Paul a call again tomorrow and see what he has to say, but I know he's working on it, but I talked to him last week.
Is there a way to get like a deadline for them to like get something done on that? Instead of just, yeah, we're working on it.
They're just not, they're not ignoring it.
Okay,
They're-
I mean, that's just. what
I
it
mean, they
seems
don't like it any more than you do. If they don't like getting complaints either.
Well, and that's kind of why I brought it up here first before it went over to. Canada. So,
It's always in the spring when they start up the ponds again. To get it neutralized again.
because they had it running over the winter too. So
They did.
that's, yeah, you could definitely smell it throughout the winter. This year, because it was such a warm winter, you could smell it. This hasn't been like a new issue. Because I'm well aware of it being every spring, but this has been going on for, like I said, months now, since easily December.
I will call the supervisor of the canning factory in the morning right away
Okay,
and see what he has to say.
okay, thank you.
Anything to say? No? Okay. Then we'll move on to the Belgium Area Chamber of Commerce report.
First, thank you to everybody who came to support or help it Bruin Shoe. We really appreciate everybody's support of that event. We're just gearing up for summer right now, so we have Summer Nights Live coming up. That will be Friday, June 7th and Friday, July 12th from 6 to 9. June 7th, we have a cornhole tournament. We have Brandon Max playing. They're now called the Bright Side, but last year they played for us as Brandon Max. The fire department is doing food and the Chambers Man Bar that night, so hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that. We're also planning another Splash Pad Sunday, and that will be Sunday, July 28th. Any questions?
And CGB, class of 88 is having their reunion and inviting any alumni of CGB to join.
That's very cool too. Yeah. Thanks, Vicki.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 7A, Village Marshal Report.
Okay, for April, I registered 3 golf carts. And I had numerous complaints of stray cats up on North Ave. Cats running around, so I finally did some checking with different people and found out there's a lady on Elevator Lane that was feeding them. So she felt sorry for the cats, so I got in contact with her and told her not to feed them anymore. So as far as I know, there's no more complaints. Not as many cats around, and they had 2 complaints of trash on the curbs. And I talked to the people and they got rid of the stuff. Now it's all gone.
That's good.
That's about it for the month.
Okay, anybody got anything else, Julianne? Okay, thank you.
Cats.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda items 8A through 8D.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. 10A, I'd like to welcome Wendy Unger of Baker Tilly to present the 2023 financial statements.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here this evening. We have in front of you a couple page handout, which is what I'll use to go through the other documents that I believe you have as part of your board packet. I'm going to start by just sharing audit results. Objective of the audit was to issue an opinion on the financial statements. We've done that, included in your bond booklet. Is a clean, unmodified opinion, same type of opinion you've received in the past, and it is the highest level of assurance that you can obtain from us as your auditor. So positive results from an opinion standpoint. I'm moving to the next page. This is where I've highlighted some very high level financial information for the various governmental funds. Just going to touch on each of those very quickly. The first column there is your general fund. This is the village's day-to-day operating fund. When we look at that, we compare that to budget. The general fund had 1.89 million of actual revenue. That compares to a $1.81 million budget. So you were over budget in your revenue category by roughly $76,000. The main contributing factor to that overage was your investment income. 2023 was a very good market year, so positive variance there. Your expenditure category, 1.79 million of actual compared to a $1.82 million budget. So you came in under budget from the expense standpoint by roughly $24,000. That figure being under is mainly due to the street work that was done. Less cost than what you had anticipated. You will, when you look at your financial statements, note that the park category is over budget and DPW is under budget, and that's really the shifting of individuals for the park work that was done. So when you look at that in detail, just so you understand what that means. So overall, when you put together your 23 budget, you budgeted to use roughly $3,000 of fund balance, essentially a break-even year. As you can see here, you actually added almost $100,000 to fund balance. Adding that to the beginning of the year fund balance of $552,000 resulted in a $649,000 fund balance as of the end of the year. That fund balance has various pieces to it, and I've broken those out into the 4 categories at the bottom. A portion of that is not spendable. Those are either revenues that have been recognized, but you haven't collected the cash, or expenses you've paid in 23 that are 24 expenses. So the cash is gone, So we pull that figure out. You have a portion that is restricted, that is your tourism and stormwater monies that are restricted for particular purposes, so you can't utilize those for spending. You have 206,000 that's assigned. A good portion of that is capital project related money, $145,000, and the remaining balance is what you use to balance the 2024 budget. So we pull that out because again, that's something you have available for spending if everything would play out as expected. The remaining balance unassigned $345,000, that's your working capital contingency. That represents roughly 19% of your operating budget. It's on the very strong side that allows you some flexibility in having resources on hand for unexpected costs. We typically look for that to be somewhere between 10 and 25%. So again, on the high side. So a very good year for the general fund. The next column there is your TIP 4. This closed during the year. So there was some increment that came in. So that's the $854,000. And then you paid out to the taxing units, to the general fund, and then ultimately the remaining interest payments on the debt. You paid out a little bit over $1 million. That fund has zero fund balance, and that fund will now cease to exist. It served its purpose. The next comes your American Rescue Plan. Those are the monies that you got in from the federal government in 2 tranches in previous years. Those funds earn a little bit of interest. They had $11,000 of interest in 23, $14,000 of fund balance. Again, that's all accumulated investment over the life of that federal funds. At the end of the year, at the end of 23, you still have $245,000 to spend. So those are monies that are, I believe, already in the process of being spent during 2024. They need to either be spent or committed by the end of 24 or you lose it. So the village is in a good position to use the money they have there. The next comes the debt service fund, $552,000 of revenue. Roughly half of that is taxes. The other portion comes in from the general fund. You spend $559,000 on principal and interest. That is village related debt. So you used up the little bit of fund balance you had in there and ended the year at zeros. Typically, you would see a zero balance in your debt service fund because you levy, you pay, and it doesn't accumulate resources unless you need those resources for a future balloon type payment or something of that nature. The last column here is your capital project fund, $313,000 of revenue. $209,000 of that comes in from your general fund. You budget to move money over there. You also had roughly $78,000 of park donations. So those came in there as revenue also. You spent $547,000 of your capital project fund. That was on the park pavilion, trucks, the cameras at the park, and then some street and storm projects. So overall, the capital project fund used $234,000 of fund balance and the end of the year at $495,000. On the next page is the remaining 2 funds of the village. So this is your water and sewer fund. And when you look at these type of funds, we look at them in comparison to prior year actuals, not so much from a budgetary standpoint. Water utility, you'll see 3 rows up from the bottom had a positive increase in net position of $61,000. That compares to a positive increase last year of 65. So very comparable. Although revenue was up roughly 75,000, so were expenses. So there were some additional costs included in that fund from an operation and maintenance type standpoint, plus an increase in the tax equivalent, which is a payment in lieu of taxes that the utility pays to the village. Also keep in mind that during 2023, there was a rate increase that went into effect in September. That along with an increase in consumption resulted in that increase of revenues. Sewer utility had $997,000 of revenue. That's up $78,000 over the previous year. Also, there was a rate increase in the sewer utility in 22, so 23 was the first year of the full effect of that increase. $761,000 of expenses. Those were down a little bit over the previous year. So ultimately, the sewer utility added $235,000 in that position in comparison to $119,000 in the previous year. So both of them ended positively from a change in that position. That's not a change in cash. So included in your audited statements is cash flow documentation, but just to quickly touch on that, The water utility ended the year at 1.1 million of cash, down a little bit, roughly $5,000. A small portion of that is restricted money. You have impact fees that are included in there, roughly $73,000. So those monies can only be spent on the purpose of those impact fees. Sewer utility ended the year at 1.2 million in cash. That was a positive increase in cash of 230,000 over the previous year, and roughly half of that is restricted because you are required to have an equipment replacement fund. So those monies are restricted for that purpose. The last portion of the handout that I've included here is the other document that we issue as part of the audit process. That's our reporting and insight document. That's where we communicate comments and recommendations. Nothing unusual or unexpected in that report, very comparable to the previous year due to the size of the staff, the team here. We have some segregation of duties issues, mainly in the payroll area. And then internal controls over financial reporting. We prepare your audited statements, so you become part of the village's control for a brief period of time. Also did a couple of audit entries. So because that happens, we are also referring to those as material weaknesses. Again, in addition to those comments, nothing in that letter is unusual, unexpected, nothing I need to draw your attention to. I'd be happy at this point to answer any questions you have regarding the documents that we've presented, the handout, or anything about our audit process.
And I do have to apologize to the board, the document that has the comments in it, I did not attach to this packet. I will email that all to you tomorrow. So that you have it.
Anyone have any questions for Wendy?
Almost very clear explanation, but I understand.
I tried.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need to approve that or?
No,
Okay, we'll move on to 10B. Approve new internet provider for Village Shop.
So as we noted last month, our current contract has ended with BCN, and so I need to go out and start looking for options. I just gave you a little summary of what I found. My recommendation would be between either US Cellular or T-Mobile. There's pros and cons to both. US Cellular is our cell phone provider. They are the cheapest of the option, and we were able to test both inside and outside the building what the speeds would be with Pat's phone. The downside to them is they do ask for a contract. T-Mobile is a little bit higher. They're $63 a month, but the price is locked forever as long as we have the plan, and there is no contract. So should it not work out, we can back out. Now, US Cellular does give us a 2-week waiting period in order to check, make sure everything's up and running properly. But AT&T, they're just more expensive, and they do slow speed with congestion. I don't foresee that would be a big issue with our usage at the shop, but nevertheless, Spectrum, I would highly recommend you not choose Spectrum. They have been a nightmare to work with.
Yeah.
And
It's not gonna stay like that for very, that price isn't gonna stay like that for very long.
for a year, but after that, it will jump up significantly. So, the
How's
guys
this-
at the shop, you can ask Pat, what his opinion is, but he seems.
How is the speed with T-Mobile?
Without being able to test it specifically there, I don't know.
For what it's worth,
If
that's my carrier and I have no trouble, but
Do you
I'm
have
not,
them for internet or on your phone?
just on the phone.
Well, if you would be willing to come with me to the shop sometime, we could test it.
Sure, absolutely.
Because I don't know that. Unfortunately, we can't test inside. What I will say is that I believe their tower is closer. We know that T-Mobile is on our tower. I'm not sure where US Cellular's tower is. I believe it's on Piper's property.
Is it?
And when do you need a
Yes.
decision?
We don't need to have a decision anytime in particular, right now, we are on a month to month. We're paying 135-ish right now per month for internet there, and it's a much slower speed than any of these four are offering.
Pat, do you have an
Um,
opinion? Which one?
I'm fine with US Southern or T-Mobile. I have T-Mobile at home. I
Okay.
have no problem with it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with T-Mobile, but if you want to do an experiment, we can.
T-Mobile's a little more right now, but I think over the years, it'll be itself up.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, US Cellular, you're gonna get a contract, but that's only gonna be for so long, and then you have to read.
Yeah, it is a 3-year contract.
Right, but then in 3 years, it would be $100.
It'll be reasonable.
Well, in
Right.
T-Mobile, there is no contract, so something cheaper comes along.
Right, well, that's what I thought too.
And they did, US Cellular did say that they would slow speeds after 300 gigabytes. I have a hard time believing we would hit 300 gigabytes,
Right.
but
Mm.
you know, US or T-Mobile has no caps and no slowdowns included.
I mean, I'm all for trying, and like you said, if it doesn't work, we can,
T-Mobile okay, or?
No, why? My computer's up here, so I have no, I don't use a computer down there, so I go on that.
And it works for you guys?
We-
You work
By
at
trying T-Mobile, if we use them with the switch previous.
Well, I'll make a
I
motion that
think-
the village adopt T-Mobile as its new carrier.
Second.
And yes, I mean, I like the idea because if it doesn't work out,
right,
we
We're
can
not held
try
back.
something else.
yes,
We do require a static IP for something there, so that is why that was included. Primarily that is used for the gate.
oh,
It's used for the camera
Probably not.
system and it's used just for their internet needs
Yeah.
on their computer there. Those are the three primary systems.
Do we need to buy any like equipment for T-Mobile?
Equipment is included. We probably will need to pay Digicorp to come and do some reprogramming of the Fortinet system, which is the firewall. And that is required by Ozaki County's IT systems. as
Right.
They,
Yeah.
access that.
Wouldn't we need to do that with any carrier?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
so-
They will need to no matter who we switch to.
okay,
Okay, any other discussion on this? Motions are made and seconded for T-Mobile for the shop internet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
And somewhat off topic to this subject, but just as a note to you, Paul did get the new dialers installed. The phone lines have been requested to be canceled, so that's gonna be saving us, over $150 a month too, so. Good news on that.
no more dial-up.
Okay, 10C, approve allocation of budgeted funds and fund balance to park capital projects.
So what this consists of, go down the budget, what Vicky presented you guys. We had $5,000 in the budget to put the ceiling in the gazebo. We got a quote that came in at $11,400. And then also in our budget, we had $10,000 for dugouts at the main park. That price, if we, well, two dugouts would be, was it over 20,000, Pat?
It was about 18.
About 18, but we just thought that would be too much to spend, for that. So we thought of using the $10,000, switch that to the ceiling in the gazebo, half that. And then whatever it takes. And also we had some proposals to put automatic door locks in Heritage Park. Right now we have them down in community parks and we don't have nothing in Heritage Park, so. I would say 85% of the time the bathrooms stay open all the time, because we're gonna go up there and tenant, probably 100%.
Good cover.
So,
And we have some damage out there,
yeah, we had some windows broken, and everything, so. That quote came in at 5,033. If you do all the math, I think we're short $400 and some dollars. That's all about,
Okay, going along with the parks.
yeah.
Saturday, when I was sitting down in the park frying hamburgers and brats. I bet you there were 24 people that asked where the bathrooms were. Can we put some signs on the west side of the building? For restrooms?
But we can look into it, I mean,
People went to the old one quite a bit. And they did, stand right in front of us, say, where the bathrooms at? So.
not when you start putting signs in the building, it looks like hell.
Well, how about if we put a, is there a sign right there by the, on the south side of the pavement? going around the back of the building. Can we put another sign below that?
We didn't put no signs on the new building.
No, but I mean, 4x4 posts in the ground. On the south side of the concrete there.
Well, we have one where it shows one way. I mean, I can't see people can't see where the bathrooms are.
There's nowhere, it says nowhere where the bathrooms are. I mean, if they come from the east, yeah, they should see it.
Well, even when you attach to
But
the,
if they come from the west or the south,
well, we can look at it, but I just
Yeah,
hate put building signs on the building there and.
then let's just put a sign in the ground. I know it's more to cut around, but
Well, that's what most of the concrete.
I mean,
Can't you just hang a bracket off the building with a sign?
Well, yeah, let's look at it once. and-
Yeah, see what needs to happen there. Holes in the ground.
let's take a look at it and see where we could put
where was
some.
that park committee maybe?
I don't know anybody.
And alternatively, if it's people that are aware of the old building, once they're at the new place,
Yeah.
they'll know where the restrooms are, so that's gonna gradually ameliorate.
I know there's a lot of people.
Taking the old building down.
Yeah, to get down.
But eventually we take it down or we had some other ideas, maybe to keep it up and use storage.
For like storage, that's why I was curious, it's that building's in good shape, why not just,
Yeah, we would have to put an overhead door in there. I mean, it's.
Right.
But,
yeah, okay, I was just curious if there was a timeline for that.
yeah, that's like the standing room site.
Yeah.
So
Well,
basically, what you guys would be looking to approve is, the reallocation funds and the additional up to 500 in fund balance.
I will make a motion to approve the allocation of funds and up to 500 in the rest
I'll second.
fund balance.
I
Motion's
will
been
second
made,
that.
seconded. Any other discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay.
Motions have been seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.